Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayesu Avadresu Nityam Bhagavate Sevaya Bhagavate Uttamasloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 9, Chapter 16. Lord Parsuram destroys the ruling class. In text 1 through 27. Text 1. Sukadev Goswami said, "My dear Maharaj Parikshit, son of the Kuru dynasty, when Lord Parsuram was given this order by his father, he immediately agreed, saying, 'Let it be so.' For 1 complete year, he traveled to holy places. Then he returned to his father's residence." Text 2. Once, when Renuka, the wife of Jamadgani, went to the bank of Ganges to get water, she saw the king of Gandharvas decorated with a garland of lotuses and sporting in the Ganges with celestial women, apsaras. Text 3. She had gone to bring water from the Ganges when she saw Chitraratha, the king of the Gandharvas, sporting with the celestial gulls. She was somewhat inclined toward him and failed to remember that the time for the fire sacrifice was passing. Text 4. Later, understanding that the time for offering the sacrifice had passed, Renuka feared a curse from her husband. Therefore, when she returned, she simply put the water pot before him and stood there with folded hands. Text 5. The great sage Jamadgani understood the adultery in the mind of his wife. Therefore, he was very angry and told his sons, "My dear sons, kill this sinful woman." But the sons did not carry out his order. Text 6. Jamadgani then ordered his youngest son, Parasuram, to kill his brothers who had disobeyed this order and his mother who had mentally committed adultery. Lord Parsuram, knowing the power of his father, who was practiced in meditation and austerity, killed his mother and brothers immediately. Text 7. Jamadgani, the son of Satyavati, was very much pleased with Parasuram and asked him to take any benediction he liked. Lord Parsuram replied, "Let my mother and brothers live again and not remember having been killed by me. This is the benediction I ask." Text 8. Therefore, by the benediction of Jamadgani, Lord Parsuram's mother and brothers immediately came alive, were very happy as if awakened from sound sleep. Lord Parsuram had killed his relatives in accordance with his father's order because he was fully aware of his father's power, austerity, and learning. Text 9. My dear King Parikshit, the sons of Kartavirya Arjuna, who were defeated by the superior strength of Parsuram, never achieved happiness, for they always remembered the killing of their father. Text 10. Once when Parsuram left the ashrama for the forest with Vasuman and his other brothers, the sons of Kartavir Arjuna took the opportunity to approach Jamadgani's residence to seek vengeance for their grudges. Text 11. The sons of Kartavya Arjuna were determined to commit sinful deeds. Therefore, when they saw Jamadgani sitting by the side of fire to perform yajna and meditating upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is praised by the best of selected prayers, they took the opportunity to kill him. Text 12. With pitiable prayers, Renuka, the mother of Parsuram and wife of Jamadagini, begged for the life of her husband. But the sons of Kartavirjuna, being devoid of the qualities of Kshatriyas, were so cruel that despite her prayers, they forcibly cut off his head and took it away. Text 13. Lamenting in grief for the death of her husband, the most chaste Renuka struck her own body with her hands and cried very loudly, "O Rama, my dear son Rama." Text 14. Although the sons of Jamadagini, including Lord Parshuram, were a long distance from home, as soon as they heard Renuka loudly crying, calling, "O Rama, my son," they hastily returned to the ashrama where they saw their father already killed. Text 15. Virtually bewildered by grief, anger, indignation, affliction, and lamentation, the sons of Jamadagini cried, "O Father, most religious, saintly person, you have left us and gone to the heavenly planets." Text 16. Thus lamenting, Lord Parshuram entrusted his father's dead body to his brothers and personally took up his axe, having decided to put an end to all the Kshatriyas on the surface of the world. Text 17. O king, Lord Parshuram then went to Mahismati, which was already doomed by the sinful killing of a Brahmana. In the midst of that city, he made a mountain of heads severed from the bodies of the sons of Kartavirjuna. Text 18 to 19. With the blood of the bodies of these sons, Lord Parshuram created a ghastly river which brought great fear to the kings who had no respect for Brahminical culture. Because the Kshatriyas, the men of power in government, were performing sinful activities, Lord Parshuram, on the plea of retaliating for the murder of his father, rid all the Kshatriyas from the face of the earth 21 times. Indeed, in the place known as Samanta Panchaka, he created 9 lakes filled with their blood. Text 20. Thereafter, Parshuram joined his father's head to the dead body and placed the whole body and head upon Kusagrasa. By offering sacrifices, he began to worship Lord Vasudeva, who is the all-pervading supersoul of all the demigods and of every living entity. Text 21 to 22. After completing the sacrifice, Lord Parshuram gave the eastern direction to the Hota as a gift, the south to the Brahma, the west to the other view, the north to the Udgata, and the 4 corners northeast, southeast, northwest, southwest to the other priests. He gave the middle to the Kashyapa and the best of the place known as Aryavarta to the Upadrashta. Whatever remained, he distributed among the Sadasyas, the associate priests. Text 23. Thereafter, having completed the ritualistic sacrificial ceremonies, Lord Parshuram took the bath known as the Avavrata Snana. Standing on the bank of great river Saraswati, cleared of all sins, Lord Parshuram appeared like the sun in a clear, cloudless sky. Text 24. Thus, Jamadagini, being worshipped by Lord Parshuram, was brought back to life with full remembrance and became one of the 7 sages in the group of 7 stars. Text 25. My dear King Parikshit, in the next Manvantara, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, Lord Parshuram, the son of Jamadagini, will be a great propounder of Vedic knowledge. In other words, he will be one of the 7 sages. Text 26. Lord Parshuram still lives as an intelligent Brahmana in the mountainous country known as Mahendra. Completely satisfied, having given up all the weapons of the Kshatriya, he is always worshipped, adored, and offered prayers for his exalted character and activities by such celestial beings as the Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas. Text 27. In this way, the Supreme Soul, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Lord, and the Supreme Controller, described as an incarnation in the Bhrigu dynasty, released the universe from the burden of undesirable kings by killing them many times. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu, for reading the translation. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada. We'll start with prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Subhatandikam Vandeyam Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvatam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvatamscha नमां विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Thank you everybody for joining. Thank you Sundaran Prabhu for giving me this opportunity. We're starting a new chapter today and continuing the story from the previous chapter. This is a story about Lord Parashuram. So in the previous chapter we saw how the story about sorry, 1 second. About this king, Kartavir Arjuna, and how he offended Parshuram by taking his Kamadhenu cow, and that's why he killed Kartavir Arjuna. And that's why Parashuram, he actually he had to atone for it. He had to his father was not very happy that he killed the king, so basically he went to atone, and then he came back. And meanwhile, Jamadagni, who was the father of Parashuram, he was performing his daily sacrifice, his daily yagya, or his daily sacrificial performance, and his wife Renuka was assisting him. So Renuka's duty was to assist his Jamadagni, assist her husband Jamadagni, and every single day. So in this particular chapter, actually today we are covering 27 verses, which is quite a lot, but we will try to focus on the first 10 verses right now. So I'm just consolidating and giving a gist of the first 10 verses. So Renuka, she goes, we see that, she is a very devoted wife to Jamadagni, and she is serving him as her husband, serving him as her spiritual master, even though he's her husband. So for a wife, the one of the spiritual masters is the husband. So yeah, she goes to the Ganges, and she has to go there and collect water from the Ganges for his yagya. And there actually when she goes there that day, she sees by chance she sees a Gandharva named Chitrarath, and who's also joined by heavenly Apsaras. So Chitrarath actually is very beautiful, and he's also there. He cannot he doesn't see her, but he is with surrounded by the heavenly Apsaras, and this Renuka, she happens to see them, and she becomes attracted. She becomes mentally she becomes attracted to this Gandharva, and she forgets about his she forgets about her service, and she wants to see what they're going to do. So this is, although she's very focused, like typically, when we go to a river or when we go to in a water body, our our nature, frivolous nature comes out, and that, we try to enjoy the waters, but actually we should not enjoy holy rivers like Ganges, Mother Ganges, and we should just basically, um, dip and, dip as a purificatory act, take a dip and then come out of it as soon as possible. So, um, same thing with other holy rivers like Yamuna, Saraswati, etc. So she was very focused, but to this particular day, she was distracted, and she forgot what she was there for, and she just tries to see what they're doing. Sometimes it happens, we are doing something very regularly on a very regular basis, some kind of a service on a very regular basis, and things become very mechanical. Um, and in this regards, there is a pastime of Srila Prabhupada that once Shrutakirti Prabhu writes about this pastime, and he writes that Srila Prabhupada was getting a massage sometime in 1975, and there was a Sanskrit editor. Shrutakirti Prabhu didn't mention his name, but he was editing something, and he was, because it was in Sanskrit, so he had to keep coming back to Srila Prabhupada's room to ask him about any corrections or any suggestions. So when he was entering the room, Srila Prabhupada was having the massage. First time he entered the room, he offered his obeisances, and he discussed with Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada made some corrections, asked him to do some corrections, and then he went and he did the corrections, and he came back. So this happened many times. Like, Prabhupada would give some corrections, he would go and then come back. So every time he would come back, he would offer obeisances. But then, as it progressed, as his number of times of coming into the room progressed, his offering of obeisances became like a mechanical process. So sometimes he did not completely touch his head to the floor. Sometimes he just touched um, he just bowed down. Sometimes he just touched his hand to the floor and put it on his head. And then Prabhupada noticed that. So when Srila Prabhupada noticed that, and Prabhupada chastised him, he said, "What is this? What is this that you're doing? Um, um, you know, um, pay your obeisances properly." So Shrutakirti Prabhu said that this was basically, he mentions his realizations that, he says that sometimes, these we should be very careful. First thing, we should be very careful while doing our services. Second thing is, especially when these services are rendering personal service to the spiritual master, even though it may be like repetitive service, it should be l- less of a mechanical thing. We should try to be conscious of what we are doing. So being conscious is very important in whatever service that we're doing. We see a very good example in Srimad Bhagavatam itself about Devahuti, on Devahuti, who's Kardam Muni's wife, and she was also engaged in the service of Kardam Muni. And Kadam Muni, actually, he was not even like, sometimes he would be in meditation and he would go in meditation for a very, very long time. So, but Devahuti was so much uh, engaged and absorbed in the service that she would, if the husband, if Kadam Muni was not eating, he was in meditate because he was in meditation. She would also not eat. And sometimes it's not that like, and it's not that she would think that. Oh, now Kadam Muni is in meditation, so now let me go around this forest, let me take a walk and come back. Let me look at the forest, let me see some birds, let me get some fruits, let me, get into the water, let me enjoy a nice bath. Um, she was very fixed up. She did not let any distractions come in the way. She was doing her service in a very nice consciousness. Renuka, on the other hand, we see that, of course, this is she is the mother of Parashuram, so this is just a pastime, and we should learn from it more than not trying to point at a particular personality. But Renuka, on the other hand, we see that Jamadagni's wife, she got distracted and mentally she was somewhat inclined towards this Gandharva Chitrarath. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he writes in his Srimad Bhagavatam Tika, Sarartha Darshini Tika, that he said that Chitrarath had a very wonderful chariot, and that's why she was also looking at that chariot, like, how beautiful this is. And she kept watching them, she kept observing them until their enjoyment was over. So all of these Gandharvas and these Apsaras, they all enjoyed in the water, and then she waited until they all finished and they all went back on the chariot. So basically, she was there for a very long time. And this particular, this is a very, uh, like, very dangerous thing for a sadhaka, that, these temptations, they come, they will keep coming. And we have to basically stop them at dhyato vishayat bhamsam. We should, that contemplation or that desire, we should stop at that. That is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Um, so Renuka forgot about her service. She forgot everything. And we see like a similar incident that we see in Srimad Bhagavatam again in the sixth canto. We see the story of Ajamil. So Ajamil actually went even more further. Like, he didn't just stop at seeing the prostitute, but he brought the prostitute home. And then he kicked out his wife, and we all know that story. But it all starts with contemplation. But Renuka, actually, she realized that she has done mistake. She was running late. She rushed back. She rushed back to she realized that she had done crime of mental adultery. There are different kinds of offenses. There is offenses in the mind as well. So even the desire to enjoy some, like in her case, like, somebody else, it is a form of mental adultery. So a few things that we can take away from this particular pastime is that we should try. One thing is, we should try not to stay in seclusion, because the mind is so turbulent. The mind is always, tries to go run here and there. So we should always be in under supervision of someone. We should try to be under somebody's supervision. So it is always best to be in association of devotees. Otherwise, our base tendencies will come out. So in the association of devotees, we get purified. And there are different ways of purification. This purification of mind is through chanting of the holy names. Purification of intelligence as by studying the shastras scrutinizingly. And purification of false ego is by association of devotees. So this Renuka again, like she was afraid that she had committed a mistake, and then she goes, but again she goes in front of Jamadagni. And then Jamadagni Rishi, when he sees that she's standing there very nervously, he's first of all he's very angry that she did not come on time, so he could not perform his sacrifice. And then the second thing he sees that she's standing there, she's very nervous, so he understands that he had mystic powers, so he could understand that she had committed mental adultery, and this enraged him even more. And in that anger, he orders his sons. So Parashuram was his youngest son. So he orders his not Parashuram but other sons to kill her immediately. And he said that she's a sinful woman and he should kill her. So punishment actually is very important. It is necessary in most circumstances, but it should not be done out of anger or hatred or vengeance. Punishment should be basically used as a tool for rectification. Even children, we punish children, but there are different ways to punish them. And a punishment, it should be for the purification. It should not be out of frustration, out of anger. But Jamadagni, he lost his intelligence, and because of his anger, he could not discriminate. And Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur writes in this regard that this was an abominable act and it should never have been done. So Jamadagni should have not killed, um, not asked to kill his wife Renuka. And in in so we are at text 9. So because of this, what happened was Jamadagni was killed by Kartavir Arjuna's sons. So we remember the story from the previous chapter that Kartavir Arjuna was killed by Parashuram, and then the sons of Parashuram were very angry because their father was killed, so they wanted to take revenge. And the way that they took revenge was they came and they found Jamadagni, who was Parshuram's father, and they killed him. So this was basically like karma coming back at him, in one sense that Parshuram was infected by the sin because of killing of Kartavir Arjuna, and and when Kartavir Arjuna, uh, like whatever it is, right? I mean, uh, it is offensive to kill somebody. So whether Prabhupada writes in the purport that whether it is Kartavir Arjuna, Parashuram, Jamadagni, or whoever it may be, one must act very cautiously and sagely, and otherwise one must suffer the results of their sinful activities. So this is the lesson we learned. So yeah, so in verse 10, let me go to verse 10. Yeah, so Parshuram had gone to perform some sacrifice um, for his atonement. So that time, the sons of Kartavir Arjuna took the opportunity and approached Jamadagni's residence to seek vengeance. And then they saw that Jamadagni was sitting by the side of the yagya. He was trying to meditate, and this basically gave them the opportunity to kill him. So they did not do it in a very Kshatriya way. So the Kshatriya way is basically to um, make sure that the opponent is also ready for fighting. But they were so angry that they just wanted to kill him. Now Renuka, who's uh, uh, the mother of Parshuram, she was like begging for. She was seeing all this, and she saw that Kartavir Arjuna's sons were so cruel, and they were just trying to kill her husband. She tried. she tried to call out for her son. So she called out Rama Rama. That means Parshuram. So she called out for Parshuram, and Parshuram uh, was away, and but he could hear his mother, calling out for him. So he returned to the ashram. And then all the sons of Jamadagni were crying. They had, by the time they had already, the sons of Kartavir Arjuna had already killed Jamadagni. So at that time, the other uh, sons of Jamadagni, they were all saying, they were all lamenting and they were crying. So Parshuram became very angry at Kartavir Arjuna's sons, and Parshuram, he took it up on himself uh, to take revenge. So he had his personal weapon, his axe, and he decided to kill all the Kshatriyas in the world. So, but first he went to kill the sons of the sons of Kartavir Arjuna. So he went to Mahishmati. This is where the sons of Kartavir Arjuna were. And it says here that in the midst of that city, he made a mountain of heads severed from the bodies of the sons of Kartavir Arjuna. So he killed all of them. He killed all the sons. And then this brought about this killing was very fearful for the other Kshatriya kings as well, who were not respecting Brahminical culture. And Srila Prabhupada writes that Kshatriyas should basically um, should always be the protectors. Kshatriyas should protect the Brahminical culture. They should be, because they are the men in charge and they have a lot of power. So with power comes a lot of responsibility, but that responsibility should be such that it should be guided by the Brahmanas. It should be guided by the scriptures. But the Kshatriyas at the time, they were all performing sinful activities, and Lord Parashuram, he's not retaliating the death of his father because of this. Was basically a just an ins like a story, like an inspiration for him. But actually, Krishna always appears for paritranaya sadhunam. He always appears to protect the devotees and annihilate the miscreants. So, to kill the sinful men is one of the tasks of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And here, Parshuram is an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, whatever Parshuram did, what he did was he killed all Kshatriyas 21 times consecutively because they were disobedient to the Brahminical culture. And yesterday we heard from Krishna Venu Prabhu that all those who fled, the Kshatriyas who fled, they all came to the west, right? So all the people that were here, uh, they were all or who went to Europe or who went to different parts of the world, they were all Kshatriyas originally. So these these Kshatriyas at the time, they were not looking at Brahmanas for guidance. They became very irreligious. So Parshuram, was angry at that, and he 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 killed all the Kshatriyas 21 times. So I just realized it is 5 minutes over. And then Parshuram also, he had a lot of again, he was incarnation, he was a Shaktiavesh avatar. So he could bring his father back to life. And so he performed a sacrifice, and he gave different, in text 21 and 22 we can see that he gave different, after performing the sacrifice, he gave different directions to different, as gifts to different people. So all the brahmanas that were performing the sacrifices, he gave like the north direction to Gata, the four corners to other priest, west to Advaryu, like that. He distributed the different parts. And so then after that, he went to take a bath in Avabrita. Parshuram took bath known as Avabrita Snana. So there are different types of snanas. There are different types of you can say purificatory rituals that can be done for different things. And uh, Prabhupada says that there are actually there are 5 kinds of recommended sacrifice um, which are recommended in the scriptures. But Prabhupada says that in Kali Yuga, there's a concession given to us people in general. So in Kali Yuga, the only sacrifice that we should perform is chanting of the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. So Sankirtan Yagya is the best sacrifice and the only sacrifice that we need to perform to counteract all our sinful activities. And then because of the sacrifice, he brought back Jamadagni back to life. So his father was brought back to life by Parashuram, and he is one of the pole stars, one of the 7 Saptarshis. Jamadagni became one of the 7 Saptarshis who we see. They're the farthest away from the earth, but we can see them in the night. The others being Kashyap, Atri, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Gautama, and Bharadwaj. And then Parashuram, he still lives in the mountain known as Mahendra, and he's worshipped by the Siddhas, Charanas, and Gandharvas. And it is said that in the next Manvantara, he will come back and um, he will propagate the Vedic knowledge. And that's how he released the burden of earth. So basically, like, when Kshatriyas are ruling, Kshatriyas that are not following the Brahminical, actually today, in today's day and age, it is similar to today's day and age, that nobody is following, no Kshatriya is following the Brahminical culture. So it was similar to what we see today. But yeah, Parshuram, he cleansed. So they say cleanse the earth. So even the earth was not very happy with the ruling of the Kshatriyas at the time. So yeah, so I would like to end here. And thank you so much for the opportunity. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Vanchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyo cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namo.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for having your association and beautiful class. Hare Krishna. Thank you all devotees for joining the class today.